Hey, what's up guys, Totallydubbed here, and today I'm doing a video review for the FIDUE A73 earphones. I'd like to thank Mark from KS Distribution for actually sending these out for review. They can be found for £100 on Amazon.co.uk and $150 on Amazon USA. As I'm in the UK, I'll be reviewing it at the £100 price tag. Now these earphones house a single balanced armature driver, BA driver, and a single dynamic as I call it, double D driver. Yes, it has 32 double Ds. Anyway, in the past I found that hybrid earphones generally have not had a decent sound quality simply due to the crossover, but I was very much intrigued to see how the A73s would do, especially in comparison to the A63s, which were the previous model that I reviewed from FIDUE, and also its competition such as the Dunu Titan 1s and so on. So what you get in the box? Well, you get the earphones, which is always a good start. You got some ear tips which are on them, on the earphones of course, and then medium-sized silicone ear tips. You've got a hard carrying case, which is great, but I would have loved a soft carrying pouch. You've got ear hooks, because these are worn over the ear. I'll get into that in just a second, in case you want them for running or anything. You've got a warranty or manual, and you've got a shirt clip, dual flying tips, and small and large silicone tips. Overall packaging and accessories is great. I would have just liked that soft carrying pouch and potentially some foam tips just to add to the package. Now, as I said, these earphones are worn over the ear, and to me that is absolutely normal and perfect, because what it does is that it completely eliminates any sort of cable noise. Now the cable itself is made of an interesting material. I don't know what it is, but anyway, it looks quite nice and it feels great in your hand and also over your ear, and therefore when you're wearing these you will be very much glad to know that you get zero cable noise, aka microphonics. So it's fantastic. You can run around with them or just listen without any cable noise annoying your music. So the cable adds to a great extent over here, and the fact they're over the ear is definitely a plus, at least in my opinion, or the fact they are worn over the ear. Now the earphones are terminated by a straight gold-plated 3.5mm jack. I would have much preferred a right-angled jack just for longevity. Over time and experience, I found that straight jacks always just die out or have disconnection problems simply because of you yanking it from here or the jack, and therefore over time this connection over here gets loose. As we move up the cable, you've got the Y-split. You've got no cable kinch, but that's not a big deal because you've got a one-button remote over here with a microphone. So obviously the microphone's great for taking calls, and the one-button remote works on all platforms, meaning you can play, pause, previous, and next your music very easily, and obviously answer and reject calls if you so wish. So yeah, you can answer those calls from those very important people you have in your contacts, unlike me. Anyway, so moving up to the earphones themselves, I love the design of the earphones. They look great. They've got a red shell which is kind of see-through. It's gonna be really hard for my camera to pick it up. I feel sorry for my camera, but anyway, it's gonna be hard for it to pick up, but it's got a nice little shell over here and a nice silver plate over here. In terms of its looks, I think it's fantastic. It looks quite cool, futuristic in some sorts, and on top of that, due to its reasonable size, it's not massive, but due to its size, it actually passively blocks out quite a lot of noise, and therefore you get really good isolation for in-ear earphones. I was actually very much surprised in comparison to other earphones I've reviewed, and I'm talking over 100 earphones that I've reviewed, that these really do rank really well in terms of isolation, given that they're just universal earphones. So top marks to FIDUE for that. Now, in terms of the right and left indicator, you can probably, well, you can't see it because my camera I can see is not picking it up, but it's over here. It's a little white marking over here, very easy to see, and if not, then you'll be able to note that the right jack, I just had to make sure, is the one with the one-button remote. Anyway, so overall the build quality is fantastic, looks are fantastic, isolation is great, but the big killer question is, how is the sound quality? Well, this is where the earphones, in my opinion, fall short. So what I found is that the biggest flaw of these earphones is twofold. You've got, or even threefold if you want to mention it. The lows, so we'll start off with the lows. The sub bass is pretty much non-existent. Despite having a dynamic driver, I really didn't hear any sub bass. It doesn't extend that well, and unfortunately it is cut off quite drastically. The mid bass has somewhat of an impact, but just really lacks sort of a good impact and sort of conviction is the word. I don't know. Anyway, that's probably the word I'm looking for, and if it's not, then hallelujah. I can't even speak. But anyway, the mid bass just really lacks some direct impact, and I just would have loved a bit more impact from the mid bass. It is reasonably well controlled, which is on the plus side, but that is probably the balanced armature driver going, hey, wait up, dynamic driver, you ain't taking control over here. So mid bass could be a bit better, but yeah, what's really letting down is the sub bass. Now, moving on to the mids, I was actually really pleased with its mid reproduction. I would say it's one of the best sub £100 earphones with its good mid reproduction. So its mid range is really fantastic. Reminded me of some, you know, good old school earphones like the Fisher Audio DBA MK2s, which are fantastic in its mid range reproduction. There's other earphones out there which are really good for mids. Can't think of them on top of my head, but yeah, the FIDUE's A73s really did a great job in mids. However, as much as I love to praise the earphone, there's also its biggest flaw, and it came with its highs. Now you might think, well, how badly can the highs be? Well, first of all, they didn't roll. They rolled off, which means they didn't extend, which was one of the biggest problems when it came to actually listening to them, because they didn't really provide that much of a sparkle to the music. But the biggest thing is they were super sibilant, and run it through a normal source, you know, like a phone. Either it's picky, or either you need foam tips of sorts, or you need to EQ it. Either way, I always test my earphones in the same way, and unfortunately, these were just sibilant earphones, meaning that when it came to listening, I just didn't want to put them in my ear for more than, I don't know, 30 minutes or so, just because I just couldn't stand the sibilance that was coming out. Sibilance is basically that type of sound. That's a sibilant, as the name would suggest, sound, and therefore it's just really piercing. So it's like a piercing sound, and you just don't enjoy listening to your music as much due to that. So that is one of its biggest flaws, its sibilance. If it was a bit toned down, I could have maybe forgiven it for its lows, probably not. But anyway, it would have done a little bit better. Now its soundstage is also a little bit poor, and I presume that's either to do with the crossover or the materials that I use, which is just plastic, but you know, other earphones do a great job despite having a plastic a shell. And the soundstage just lacked depth, lacked width. It didn't really have a great instrument separation, which I would have kind of forgiven it for all its flaws if it had decent instrument separation, but that wasn't the case. And therefore, positioning and tonality just were kind of subpar in comparison to other earphones within its price tag. It does a decent job, but given its price, I would have expected a lot more. So unfortunately, soundstage lets it down. Highs a bit too sibilant. Lows a little bit, you know, it let them down a little bit, but the mids are fantastic. So it's a bit of a mixed bag, but unfortunately, due to that, I can't really see myself recommending the A73s to the general public, just because A63s did a fantastic job and I've got a fun sound. They don't try and be something that they're not, and there's other alternatives out there, as I said, like the Dunu Titan ones, which I've got literally right here, and despite them having more V-shaped sound, they're much more enjoyable to hear, and you can hear them for a long time without any discomfort, unlike the FIDUE's. So anyway guys, hopefully you've enjoyed this honest review. Make sure you check out in the link in the description below Amazon links in case you want to support me by buying it or by buying anything else if you so wish. And on top of that, check out my full written review, which is much more detailed than this fantastic video is. I know it's really hard to do these videos, but anyway, it's going to be in much more detail, so do check that out, especially the sound quality section, which might intrigue a few people. Anyway guys, hopefully I've tickled your fantasies. I don't know what I was saying there, but anyway, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, favorite and share, all that lovely stuff, and take it easy, and FIDUE out. Hey!